Hello, BookTube, and we're here for another live, a Ninja Live this time, and late. We'll blame it on Elvis this time.
You can. He's tuck it out. There he is. Ooh,
And in the thumbnail, he's a little puppy drinking beer on the table in the
here we
thumbnail.
go. Sounds about right. Must be his Czech side.
I found out that I got well, potentially distant relatives from Czechoslovakia.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I might be related to
Yeah,
Clifford D. Womack.
that would be amazing, wouldn't it? You'd love that, wouldn't you, if you found out on your family tree there's a Clifford D. Simak?
Well, you
Pretty
never know.
impressive.
Well, I found out
You
that
never know.
I'm related to that the 16th century jurist and philosopher. It's a direct descendant through my grandmother's grandfather.
Imagine what he would make of you, Sean.
Yeah, well, I was looking up at some of his books, and it's like because it was mentioned to me that I should start collecting. That would be an interesting collect. Oh yeah, it would be. And then I see one on sorcery or something. It's like $5,500 US or something like that. So it's like, nah, maybe not. But there's free shipping
Maybe.
on it though.
Well, maybe someone would send it to you. Think, oh well, it is Sean's great grandpa. So
Yeah, yeah. It dwindles out a bit after that. The last one in France was born in 1490, I think. His grandfather, I think it was, and then it peters out. Are you gonna do the comments or?
Yeah, we have a couple, don't we? We have Aaron here. Hi, Aaron. Good
Hi,
afternoon to you. And Mick's here as well. Hi, Mick.
Mick.
Obviously, our UK-based peeps, seeing as it's the all off with the old afternoon thing. But I suppose if we're in the east coast of America, no, not quite. I guess it's about 10 minutes to go, isn't it, before it hits afternoon time? So, yeah.
Oh,
We got 2 out of 3 Aarons
yeah,
here.
yeah,
Hello. And Gavin's here as well. So it's 4 UK people. There we go. Look at that.
yeah. There'll be lunchtime coming up, in especially the Midwest in the U.S. So there'll be lunch. Maybe they'll pop on.
Well, all the Brits are sitting down. Well, I guess it's time for afternoon tea. They're probably all having a crumpet or two, aren't they? So
Well, what time is high tea? 6 o'clock? Is that
no,
how it works?
I think it's anytime after 3, isn't it? Usually
High
4
tea?
o'clock,
High tea?
5 o'clock.
But there's a difference between tea and high tea, or what's high tea? I don't know.
I thought high tea just meant it had more stuff with it, but I might be wrong.
Oh, Aaron's saying I must have mistook. I misspoke. If I said 1,500, it's 50. It's $5,500.
Yeah, I thought you said 5,500, but
Yeah. I'm not sure what I said now, but
yeah.
it is $5,500. But as I say, free shipping. So
It's funny though that you wouldn't actually be able to talk to him, would you? If you could meet
no,
him.
no.
No.
It like I was surprised. There's quite a bit of stuff translated into English. There's one that I would buy because it's on witchcraft and sorcery, which would be interesting. But the cheapest I could find a paperback of it was 50 or 60 pounds. And I go, yeah. And that was in rough condition. It's like, nah, no, I'm not doing that.
Is he on Project Gutenberg?
Oh, he is, I think, yeah. But
Then
I don't think in English.
we can print our own then. We'll get the AI to translate it and then we'll print our own. Introduction by his great grandson, Mr. Shawndstandfast. So
Yeah, well, it's strange that family, like I think it's his great grandson that went to Quebec, so New France, and that family is very influential in the creation and the building up of New France. So so I better bite my tongue when I make fun of Quebec now because I have
but then you
like
see,
early days of Canada there.
maybe then some relative of one of the Aarons or Mick or Gavin went over there with Wolf and brought it all crashing down. So
Yeah, because it is kind of weird that it goes back on my grandmother's father's side. Like he was born in the Isle of Wight, so right away, boom, new recruit to Canada. And on my and the same is on my grandfather's side. But on my grandmother's side, as I say, it goes back and there's branches off, and there's the Duma, but the Duma only goes back, I think, to the early 1800s that I can see. So so if there is any relation to Alexander Dumas, it's somewhere up there in a break off, thing. So it's interesting to look at this stuff because you just amazed at sort of where it branches off, and you can go, because you could just go nuts with or cause yourself to go crazy because you just sort of break off, keep breaking off, and some of these people had like 20 children, and it's like, Jesus.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I don't know. I was giving it a go myself, but obviously, yeah, I'm more limited in how far back I can go. But problem is, I just wish my family members were more consistent in when they updated their censuses, because they're I guess from 1911 at least they started to fill them in themselves. So, I was surprised one great grandfather decided in the following census of 1921 that everyone was going to be a year younger than they were. Than their birth years were recorded the previous one. So, Aaron, well, as he was so influential in the development of New France, you have the ancestral right to make fun of the Quebecois. So,
that's true. Okay, yeah. So that's good then. But yeah, it is weird, like the census stuff, and the one that I told you about has mistakes on there that people have added stuff that I've noticed. But on the ancestor.com or the one that's you pay, I think it's the Church of the Latter-day Saints, that one, they're like, I look at my stuff and it's like mistakes all over the place. Like they're making, I don't know who's made these connections. They're just absolutely erroneous. So I went for a 14-day free trial to get a couple documents out of there, but crikey, it's just a mess.
why are the Mormons so synonymous with genealogy?
Well, as far as I know, they want to find out their ancestors so they can baptize them or whatever, or do whatever to get them in heaven. So
okay,
that's the purpose. As far as I know, that's what I was told. Somebody watching may know that that's wrong or something, but that's as far as I know. But the additional side of it, obviously, is that they get money through the ancestor.com as fees. They go out and have people copy documents and put them on, and they're doing that all over the world. So
incredible.
And they also, you can get a DNA kit from them, so you can upload your DNA stuff so they can compare things,
Yeah. Well, Aaron, of course, is a famous Aaron Hook has a famous ancestor and is it antecedent or is that descendant? No, ancestor. Yeah. Doesn't he?
Yeah. But I'm not sure. Is it Aaron? Is it direct, or is it sort of a brother of like a grandfather or great grand? I can't remember what you said.
Aaron mentioned once it's some kind of uncle. Maybe.
Yeah,
it's not direct.
Yeah, so
direct line, but I might be wrong. Yeah. Obviously, if he's still there, he'll correct us. But yeah. It's a cool one to have, though. I have to say, it must be cool to have a line to hook.
Well, there were some of my ancestors that broke off and were in the British Army and were in Africa and South Africa apparently, but they're sort of they're breaking off here. I go down here and they're breaking off here and then going down here, way off. So Nothing really close.
Cousin of my great grandfather.
Okay. Yeah.
So that would mean probably that they the great grandfather and Hook then shared a grandparent.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The grandparents would have been the
yeah,
same. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
If it's first cousins. Yeah.
Retrospective conversion, interesting. Yeah, yeah, it is definitely, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's what it is. And that's why they've been doing it for a long time. But as I say, the information is wrong. Well, there's wrong information in documents too, because somebody has taken the written words that are on the census and then typed it up at some point, or they've used AI to do it. So you get spurious spellings of things, and even the person who's writing down the name on the census probably didn't get the correct spelling of somebody's name to begin with. So that makes it more, because my grandmother on the 1931 census is showing as 21 years old. She was born in 1905. She's not 21 years old, in 1931. But
Well,
it is her.
you probably had my great grandfather filling in her information then, according to all the stuff I saw. So I would say though, I mean, what was the interesting thing? So I have a grandmother's uncle, and he was knighted, and it's something to do with um, the law. He was some kind of high placed lawyer slash judge or something, and it's quite confusing. Can't remember the full title, but I've known about him for ages, so it's not like it was new information for me. I've even got a nice picture of him in his garb. But it was very funny because I remember as a kid going to the library, pulling out Who's Who, and then I found out that and we had zero idea of this, that he actually lived in the town we were currently living in. Now, remember, my family,
Yeah.
lived abroad, and we'd chosen to settle
Yeah.
in this town. We had no idea. And then he had lived in the manor house that was later knocked down to build the school that I went to. So it was just really weird to think, and my grandmother was still alive at the time when I found it out, and she of course could remember him.
Well, it's strange too. Like I say, when I first came to the UK here, I stayed for a little while immediately in High Wycombe for a little while until I got a job in Milton Keynes. And then I found out in 1911, my great grandmother and my grandfather as a child, they lived there for however long in High Wycombe. And then I wind up here in, the Northeast, and I find out that, not too far from here, I've got some relatives that are buried, and one died in a plane crash in 1942, and then there was other parts of the family that had left to go to the United States, but then they came back here as old age, now in the sort of Yorkshire area where I am. And that's weird,
Yeah, no, it's well, because I'm surprised at some of the stuff they have on there. I found another great grandfather and grandmother, and it actually had a photograph of their resting place, their grave, because I guess they had about 12, 13 children, I guess. So, they have a lot of descendants. But I was really upset when I saw that it was really quite overgrown. And I mean, maybe it's been done up since, but I think if I had been living in England, I would have had to probably, go and do something about it. And I was just a bit upset that, obviously they're having so many descendants that nobody has
they
done
might not
anything
even
about it.
know. They
Well,
might not know.
they're buried. They're buried with one of their sons who was killed in the First World War. I mean, he was quite sad though. It was June 23rd or something, 1918. So pretty close to the end.
I think it's findagrave.com or something like that. Somebody is gone and it's been put up pictures, because I found where my great grandmother, like there's somebody says a picture of her gravestone, and my great grandfather, which I never knew because they died before. before I was born. Yeah, they died before I was born. So
So yeah, it says he was appointed a master of the Supreme Court of the Judicature Chancery Division, and he was knighted in 1947. And he has several portraits in the National Portrait Gallery. So identifying
it depends on where he was a judge. Probably some of my relatives showed up in the docket for him.
Well, I get the feeling that, I don't know, Master of the Supreme Court, does that make him a judge, or is he just like a high? Because it says Solicitor, Master of the Supreme Court Chancery Division. Now, Chancery, of course, is the court well known in Dickens, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not sure, but
well, solicitor. So yeah, he's just a lawyer. Well, just a lawyer, but yeah, he doesn't go
senior
to court.
lawyer. Let's say a senior lawyer. So, what's his name? Sir Alfred Herbert Holland. Where are we? I'm lost. Oh, the Mormons. Okay. Yeah. When it comes to Mormons, Utah has one of the highest proportion of Americans of British and particularly English descent, because of a good portion of the Mormon settlers were converts from Britain. I didn't know that. Aaron's here. Hello all. Certainly was a ninja live. You were so stealthy that I'm 10 minutes late. Yeah. What was his name? Yeah. Alfred Herbert Holland.
Yeah. One thing I found out, like, because I never knew when my grandfather showed up in the back of Beyond in Canada, where I was born. And not for sure. Knew sometime in the, like, after 1928 and before 1932 or in 1931. But he's actually on a census from 1930, because the Americans do the census on the 0 year and Canada and Britain does the 1. Just so if people are wondering. He is still in Vermont, and it says his occupation is laborer at a sawmill. Probably he worked for Mark Richardson's grandfather.
Amazing. That'd be amazing.
He had the biggest sawmill, and it was very close. So it's like he worked for Mark Richardson's grandfather.
It is fascinating. I mean, looking through, I think the censuses. So I found this Alfred Holland's father and the family and whatever, and it lists, of course, the servants because they live with them. And they had one servant. It said birthplace Ceylon, and I was thinking, oh my goodness, I mean, she had like an English name, of course, probably was born there. Maybe family in some colonial service or in the army or whatever. But yeah, in another part of my family, it lists births all over the place. It's like Calcutta, India, Tricorn, whatever it is, and then Malta and all these things. And it turns out the direct ancestor was a paymaster in the army, so they moved around all over the place. So Holland, what a great surname. Snap. What do you know, Mick? Maybe we're related. I think everybody in England is related. Of course, at some point. I think it's no more than 6th cousins or something if you're particularly indigenous. What part of our fair isle do you hail from, Mick? Because you don't know with the Hollands. They could be from like Holland, actually, or they could be from places named Holland and this kind of thing. You just don't know.
Well, like the other thing, my great grandmother, she was a Percy, and there's a huge Percy family.
Yeah, Northumbria, the Dukes of Northumberland.
There could be some connection there.
You could pop up there, Sean. You could get in your little scooter or whatever, drive up to the Duke of Northumberland's residence, and say, "Oi, give me some money." So, I'm continuing a long family tradition of leaving next to no footprint in history. Well, yeah, I mean, I was thinking, I obviously I don't have kids, so no one's going to go looking for me probably. But I would be quite hard, because obviously being born in the UK and leaving when I was 2, I've spent 12 out of my 45 years in the UK. I've missed God knows how many censuses. I suppose the kind of social media footprint I've left, if they get archived, means maybe if someone was looking for me, they might find me. But yeah, otherwise, family-wise.
Yeah, I've been here in the UK, like, Do they still do censuses here in the
Yeah,
U.S.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I must have missed them. I've been here now 20 years.
2021 was the last one.
I don't think I was part of that.
Well,
I
I
don't
did
think I
one
was ever
actually.
asked.
I did one here. So
Yeah, I
yeah.
don't think so. Like I'm on the electoral registry. Like there'll be that record somewhere, I'm sure,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
but not. Um,
So mixed from Derbyshire, but the paternal side came from Yorkshire. Great granddad was from Hull and walked to York. I'm guessing to York to find work in the late 1800s. Yeah, I think mine were more from the Buckinghamshire, Aylesbury area by the looks of them. Yeah.
yeah, like it looks
Same,
like. Sorry, go ahead.
same, Gavin. I did my tree, and it was all Essex peasants from my hometown. Me moving to London is a revolution for my family. Yeah.
Yeah, I see. My direct grandfather or his great grandfather, they were Wesleyan ministers, and I think they're mostly north here. But there's the family. There's down south as well in Bristol. I think a mayor was a Standfast at one point, and there's streets there called Standfast. And I figured if I ever moved to Bristol, I have to live on a street that's called Standfast. You just have to.
Yeah, I have another relative who's actually a criminal, which was kind of fun to find out. Not like a serious one, but I guess one of these petty ones who's in and out. I mean, every few years he appears in the local papers being sentenced to penal servitude or hard labor. But what I do find cool is the fact that he did have like uh, a nickname. Like, he's so and so, aka whatever. And during the 20s and 30s, yeah, he's in and out of jail quite frequently, actually. Often for bigamy, sometimes for bicycle theft. So there you go.
Well,
Yeah.
I remember long ago at the University of Toronto pulling off some books that were around,
Sorry, what were you doing? And
pulling off books off the
pulling
shelf.
off books.
Yeah,
I'm glad you said
and
books. I was confused.
and it was listings of deaths like in late 1100s, like on records. I don't know where the records were from. I can't remember, but there were lots of standfasts in there, and it was always so and so standfast beheaded for treason, and it was just like lots of them for like 100 years. So yeah, I'm not so sure.
Well, those standfasts, they've always been troublemakers. I guess that just kind of proves it, doesn't it, really?
Well,
So
it looks like it. It looks like there's some colorful ones in the past. That's for sure.
Aaron, my paternal grandfather was adopted in the 1920s, so sadly a dead end on researching that line. Well, not necessarily, because there's still, well, I don't know, maybe the mother wouldn't maybe necessarily have registered her name with the birth record.
Yeah, like you'd have to look at the
Birth
yeah, the
certificate.
birth certificate, because there might be a father's name on there. And the thing is, like everybody seems to think, like, uh, and I've shocked many people by just saying that just because so and so says, the birth certificate says so and so was the father and the mother, doesn't necessarily mean that they are
Definitely.
genetically the parents.
I really want to try the whole DNA test, though.
Yeah, but it's not gonna. The only way it's gonna get you direct relatives, I think, is if somebody else there's enough of a database of it. Basically, I think all it really does is say, oh, there's Norwegian in you, there's Egyptian or Chinese.
Yeah, but I want to know that. I mean, I'm sure mine
Yeah,
would be pretty
I know.
boring, but I do think that I think we're lucky in somewhere like Britain where probably quite a few people have done it, and because of course the close linkage between us all, you know that you would find somebody on one of these sites.
But I guess the thing is that you're sort of signing it all off, and it is a bit because like maybe in 1,000 years you'll be cloned from your DNA, But the thing is, if that's legal to do at that time, then it doesn't matter. They can get your DNA from anywhere and do that. So it's legal to do that. So I don't think it's much of a concern because it's
Well,
not
I
going to
mean,
be used.
I was not joking around. I was kind of just plotting things out with ChatGPT, and it was interesting about how, like, if you're curious if you're related to someone famous or aristocratic or something like that, and it was interesting that basically, yes, you are. Everybody is. It's so. The pool is so small. It talks about the whole pedigree collapse or generational collapse. The fact that you have two parents, four grandparents, eight grandparents, and so on. So after 10 generations, if you go back 300 years, you have over 1,000 direct ancestors just for 300 years. So if you go back 20 generations, 600 years, that's over 1 million ancestors just for you. And then that the population of England was barely that, probably just maybe a third of that, maybe 3 million, I guess, in Tudor times, something like that. But, the further back you go, of course, it doesn't happen. So it's curious that people fill these multiple roles. I'm not really sure how it works, how someone can be both your, great, 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 great cousin, whatever, and your grandfather, and your great, 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 great grandfather, whatever. It is very interesting. Obviously everybody's related to Charlemagne.
Yeah, but you take anybody, like I think the whole point is, like, you take anybody from that time, whether it's Charlemagne or anybody, a peasant, just think of how many descendants that person actually has. Once it filters out, it's going to be the same. It's like,
well, the descendants, yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
because like, when I look at the thing of it, just back into the 1800s, up north on the Manitoulin Island, on my grandmother's side, there were a few people that had like 3 wives. They died for whatever, I don't know how, but they've got like 20 children. Just think how many descendants are from just 20 children, that are spread out all over.
But I mean, at least your pool has been slightly diluted by Native Americans and whatever else, right?
Well, it's not see, this is the thing. I always thought that it was because my dad had first cousins that were on the reserve in Canada. But you see, my grandmother's mother was not
it's gone again.
Was not Native. Yeah, you disappeared.
I think it must be a loose connection. Hang on, keep talking. I'm here.
Yeah. So yeah, it's not. So I don't think there really is. There might be some Native in there somewhere, but it's not as much as I thought it was.
Yeah. Your relative needed his bicycles to get around his various. Yeah, probably. In Wales, especially, everyone is related.
He must have known my one of my ancestors.
Yeah. What with his 3 different wives or whatever. Yeah. But you see, these things make it easy in some ways, but then of course you don't really find out what happened to them, so necessarily, because they.
Well, that's the thing I want to find, because my grandfather was not born, but he married his first cousin in New York City in 1928. It was his aunt's daughter, who was of Italian descent on that side. As far as I could tell, they didn't have any children, but that's what I mean. They were in Vermont in 1930, and then all of a sudden he's up in the Manitoulin Island in 1931 because he was there with my grandmother at that time. So I don't what's happened in that year and a half, basically, because he would have had to been up there, because on the birth certificate he's the father on the birth certificate.
Doesn't mean they were married, though, does it? And he might.
No, they didn't get married until 1936. So 4 years after my dad was born. And I know I've got some cousins back in Canada, or second cousins on my grandfather's sister's side, that I think me talking about this horrifies some people. You know, it horrifies people's sensibilities, I think, of the past. It doesn't mean that's how it was.
It's very common. It's very common. I think, our grandparents and older, they probably like to give the impression that everything was pure and innocent, but it's definitely not like that.
And that's why I say that just because somebody, says that or somebody's married and they have a child, that doesn't mean that the child is the son of the father that she's married to, or the guy she's married to. Things happen and always have happened, and things have never been talked about.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Family Tree Tube with me. Well, I guess it could be another avenue for you, Sean. You see, you're not tied into books because you've got your name, so you could do some of your genealogy research in your videos. It's quite interesting. I mean, we've got 12, 13 people watching almost for the whole time. And we haven't even mentioned books.
Like I'm at a point that I can't do anything more until I can get into documents, because I want to verify some things. See, the problem is with these sites, people put up their own research, and they're amateur researchers, so they make assumptions, and at times, as I say, there are mistakes on the documents, and you've got like the same name, and at times there are, like, John is a familiar name in my family, and there are times where the same day in the same year there's several Johns born in various places. So which one is which? You've got to make the correct connections. Some have, and then some assume things, like anything. That's why genealogists are well educated, and they're really good researchers to find this stuff out, because I do see these mistakes, because people say, oh, my grandfather said this, so therefore they put that down on these genealogical sites as fact. But then you get the record, you go, that's not wrong.
Once you go back to your great grandparents, half of them didn't even really know exactly how old they were.
Yeah.
They're often, like, as I said, I mean, my great grandfather, I mean, I don't know why he wasn't like from a peasant background or anything, but he can't make up his mind whether he's born 1877, 1878. Come on, man.
Yeah, Jason here is, trust but verify. Exactly. That's
But it must be great to be Irish, though, right? Because
I've got some. That's what I wanted to say. Sorry, I broke in there, because on my grandmother's side as well, there's a section that goes back to Ireland.
Not a Harrigan name, is it?
No, not Harrigan. No, but I forget now where it is. And I was thinking of you because I didn't realize there was any Irish in my family, but there is. There is.
I guess the hard thing, with being Irish, you've got a smaller pool to work with, but then you do have a heck of a lot of the same names.
Yeah, but the strange thing is the Irish marrying the French Canadians.
I think that's that strange.
I find that strange.
Two Catholics marrying each other, unless French Canadians tended to be Protestants. I don't know.
No,
maybe your Irish. Maybe your Irish ancestor was a Protestant. You know.
No, they were Catholics.
Yeah. These family stories would make some interesting book concepts. Yeah. In soap operas, it happens weekly that someone else is the secret partner. Yeah, that's true.
That happens a lot, and that's the thing. And there's the only way you can tell this is you through DNA, if you get enough of that, and you find out that that's not the case. The connections. Lots of Irish and see, like, I didn't really think of that kind of thing. It was a bit of a surprise for me to see the Irish side, because nobody has ever mentioned it. There was always the hush hush thing of the native North Americans, and I knew the French part, and I knew the English part on that side. See, on my mom's side, it's going to be probably impossible to do anything, because her mother was born in Ukraine, and her father, I think, was born in Poland somewhere like 1860. He married my grandmother when he was like in his 60s and she was 13. He sent away for a new wife back to the homeland to get a new wife.
So there's hope for you.
Yeah.
You're not yet 60. You could still get yourself a wife. Hopefully
Yeah.
a bit older than that, but you know. No, I mean it is interesting. I mean, I wonder. It'd be fascinating to find out if you were related to someone who's one of your subscribers. You know, one of
Yeah.
your
Well,
viewers. Who knows?
well,
Maybe Steve Donahue is a long lost relative.
no, probably like Mark Richardson. We were talking because he's got French relatives that were in Quebec at the same time as mine were, and in Quebec City. So there's not many people. So they definitely knew each other. You know, there's not that many people in the mid 1600s in Quebec City, so they would have known each other. So there is potential that we're related, that Mark Richardson and I are related because of the Vermont connection and the Quebec connection.
The universe wants it to be so. I mean, you both kind of got gravelly voices, so you know, you never know. Yeah. Get the DNA done. You get yours done. Mark gets his done. You'll find out. You know, it's not that expensive these days, is it? Used to be like £100. I think it's less now, isn't it?
I don't know how much it is.
We don't hear much history of Irish immigration to Canada.
Yeah.
It often focuses on the neighbours to the south.
Yeah,
It's true. I mean, get a lot of Scottish immigration to Canada, don't you? I suppose, but Sean could write his own Sackets-like series based on his family tree.
Well, yeah, because and just make up stuff because they travel all over. Like there's standfasts that are in Africa, you know, and I don't know how that happened. Other than there were Wesleyan ministers. So did Wesleyan ministers, you know, were they doing missionary work there and decided to stay and married native, you know, Africans? I don't know. And they're in Australia. They're all over the place, you know.
Well, I can well believe they're in Australia. I mean, the convict transports. I mean, it's bound to be a few.
Yeah, that's probably See, this is the thing. I want to look at stuff, and I want to find, you know, newspaper stuff like those kind of things. Like there'll be court cases. They'll be talking so and so was arrested for, you know, these things. But the names, you can do a search free in these newspaper archives. But you put Standfast in, and you get like 100,000 hits because Standfast is a common word that people use as a word, not always as a name. So you've got to be able to do all that, and that's why I want to get a subscription to the London Library, which then allows me to get into the archives, the newspaper archives, for the same price, other documents and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. I'm actually searching newspapers here for Standfast.
Well, where in Czech Republic?
No, in I guess around the world. I suppose this is the Find My Past thing. Yeah. In a fast, robust game, Lindale was first to score, but Standfast equalised shortly afterwards. The bulk of Irish genealogical records were destroyed when the Four Courts in Dublin was burned down in the 1922 Civil War.
That's a shame.
Yeah,
because I'd be interested to do some more stuff with that to see what I could find, but it sort of branches off because it's like, how far do you go? It's like, you know, like you go up to my grandmother's grandparents, okay, and then that's the father, that's the Juris the Bowden back in the 16th century, and all the Quebec stuff down there. But on the mother's side, that then goes to Ireland and France and other places. But then you just keep jumping back, and you go like the father's line, and then you go to the mother's line on that one. You just sort of keep getting further away as well. That's the thing.
There's an article here on Standfast whiskey.
Yeah, that's the Grants,
Yeah.
and it's their motto is stand fast, is their family motto. So I don't think it has anything to do with the stand fast name.
There's a few of them there. Yeah, Standfast Works in Craigalackie in Scotland, I guess, in Elgin.
There's a European band, either in the Netherlands, called Stand Fast as well, a rock band of some sort.
The Standfast Dyers and Printers Limited in Morecambe in Lancashire.
Yeah, well, there was a publisher that was Standfast as well for a while, and there was a George Standfast who's an illustrator in the Victorian times. But I can't find a direct connection to him. But obviously there is, because Standfast, like that, it's not like Smith, and certain names you know there's certain names that are impossible because there's going to be billions of them. But Standfast is a little smaller, I think. It's get a little more handle on it.
I think there's only around 3,000 in the UK with my surname.
How have you figured that out?
Just Googled it.
Oh, what about mine then? I wonder.
How many Standfast surnames UK?
Is that living that would be 3,000, I guess?
Well, yours is much smaller. It says there are 193 individuals with the Standfast surname recorded on GeneNet. Oh, okay, maybe that's just recorded. The surname Standfast is most common in Gloucester and Somerset, United Kingdom.
Oh, so that's south,
West Country.
Yeah, but I was thinking more. It was from up here.
There's 130 in Gloucester. There's 50 individuals in Cheddar in Somerset, and there's 41 in Marylebone, London district area. So
they're all related in some sense. I think it's some way, because there aren't too many of them. So I think they're all connected. But when you get something like Smith, you could probably be quite sure that there's going to be ones that have no connection at all with each other. But certain names, I think, have to be connected.
Yeah, that's true. No, it's interesting. Oh, you gotta love this, eh? This is oh, actually, I don't want to say fully my family name, I suppose, because that's part of the reason they put it out there. But this is a constable with the same name, and I get 2 burglars at bay. Constable so-and-so of Holloway caught 2 supposed burglars, as he says, red-handed. So you see, different parts of the family, different sides of the law. You gotta love it. The etymology of family names is so interesting. Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, because mine is pretty simple. It's like, where, like, what are the meaning of it? But the strange thing is that the meaning of the Bodine or Bowden side, this jurist, is apparently the roots of that are the same as, like, standing fast, being resolute and stuff, which is kind of interesting that two of those kind of things come together.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so here we go. Find My Past does a fun summary on surnames. Mine has under 3,000 on Find My Past, so probably very few are alive now.
Isn't that the site that I was using that I told you? Is that
no, you said Ancestry. I was using Find My Past, but I don't know. Maybe.
Oh no, I think I originally Find My Past, and then I got a free 14-day thing for
I got a free week with Find My Past, so. But yeah, I suppose not many people are going to have the surname read a book or read a book, are they? So, I can see why there are very few of them, especially if you can't decide whether it's read or read. Yeah. No, I don't know. It'd be interesting to find out. Maybe we should all get it done. Everybody on BookTube should get it done. We can see who's related to who. But I mean, I know I have a bit of family up in the northwest, but distant. Most people tend to be very much, London, Wiltshire, home counties, pretty much. So, yeah.
Yeah, like I say, because mine, like I say, it's weird how it seems that part of everything that I've been able to see so far is that part of the Standfast, well, which is maybe the same with every family history. I don't know, but you usually always hear that family, people stay in the same area to a certain extent.
Yeah.
But my family, parts of them buggered off and went everywhere, and
Well,
then came back.
they would at least have gone over to Canada or something, wouldn't they? Oh my God.
Yeah, they're before my grandfather went to Vermont. There were other standfasts that went to New York City that are still there. There's ones in Kansas, all the way out in the west. There's all over the place.
So you probably are directly related to them.
Oh yeah, I know I am of some of them, but as I say, it goes back to say my great grandfather's grandfather or something like that, and then that's where they sort of piddled down into different places. That I've been able to find out. But you see, that's really not diluting, but it's like getting further and further away of the main line. So it's like, I could find out that I'm more closer related to you than I am to someone descended there.
Yeah, maybe.
The thing is, my grandfather only had one brother. He had three sisters.
Right, yeah.
So their names, their descendants of the sisters are not Standfast. And the other brother died in 1942, and jumping out of a plane that was going to crash, or if they thought it was going to crash, there was engine trouble, and he was too low, and he died of his injuries. So he's he didn't have any children. I don't have any children. There's my oldest brother, who has one son. So if he actually marries and has children, then the Standfast name there will continue down, but not anywhere else. So that branch of the family could theoretically disappear in the
I mean,
name.
I kill off the branch of my family. I'm the last male version of my family name on this particular line. No kids. I mean, you never know, of course, but it doesn't look very likely. So that would be the end. And I feel in some ways I've got to feel a little bit like a failure, because you think, well, they've survived all this time from the beginning of life on Earth, and there I come along and snuff it out. But then I suppose you can't improve on perfection, so it might as well end with me, right? So,
Aaron says something interesting there, and I don't know when, because it would be interesting to see if there was any Standfasts in the Civil War.
Maybe Standfast is like Flashman, just kind of appears all over the place. So,
well, that's
look at the U.S. Civil War surname database. I did it once, and there were hooks on both sides, but most of those on the Union side served in U.S. colored troops. Oh well, you see, there you go. And if they were colored, I don't know if I can say that, colored troops, if they were black troops, then perhaps those they got their surnames from their previous owners, Aaron. So,
Yeah, somebody did. There was somebody that I knew that had access or paid to this some slavery database. I don't know quite what it is, but she said, and she put in my name, and it comes up that they were never slave owners or anything to do with slavery. Well, in the sense that the name doesn't come up. So, and it doesn't make sense, because that's where I kind of thought, could it be the standfasts that are in Africa, were slaves somewhere in the New World, and then they went back, and they took the slave owner's name.
Yeah,
But
Sierra Leone or
yeah,
Liberia.
but if she's right, and the name Standfast is not in the database, then that doesn't work.
I don't know where they get. I don't know, where the database kind of starts and ends, because it could be, of course, that your family did own slaves once upon a time, but if they weren't around, maybe when the whole compensation thing was done and everything was recorded to pay out that compensation, then it might show, of course, that they were never slave owners.
Possibly, yeah. Well, there's a Mount Standfast. Is it in Barbados or Jamaica? You could probably do a search there. There's a Mount Standfast, and I don't know if there's any connection to that at all.
Well, I came across this all the time, Aaron. Actually, growing up in Bermuda, it's got a small population, of course, around 60,000 at the time. I guess around 65,000 people, something like that. And I can't tell you out of that 65,000 how many were not Bermudian. Can't remember now, but it would have been a fair amount. And then you would have, like in Bermuda, it was quite easy. It's kind of like a microcosm of everything, because there were 40 original families. They were known locally as like the 40 Thieves, right? And they were, of course, white, and they brought slaves in. And you can see, like in the Bermuda telephone book, kind of clearly delineates which black Bermudian family at one point belonged to which white Bermudian family, which, when you think about it, is a really weird, situation. Sometimes the names were direct names, like literally, Smith and Smith. Okay, fine. But sometimes you would have names, like there was a famous department store there called Trimmingham's. Yeah, it was the name of it, Trimmingham. And then you would see in the phone book, you'd have the Trims, you'd have the Ings, you'd have the Inghams, you'd have the Hams, and they're all descended from enslaved people from this family, right? So I do wonder what would happen there if, because it's so easily traceable, if all these things about reparations and things come to pass. It would be very interesting, because they can't hide from it almost. It's like, yo, your name's Ming. All right then, yeah, go to Trimmingham's family, give me some money.
What are they going to do with reparations? Because this has been proven through DNA testing, where you've got a black person now that's living. And there's this famous one, I guess, that this woman was saying she wants reparations, and they found out that her ancestors are white that had slaves.
Yeah, well, it doesn't even
what do you do with
that.
that?
I've watched at least 2 or 3 of those Who Do You Think You Are's, where they've sent generally, no, not always, because Ainsley Harriet, I don't think he's not mixed race, but this footballer Alex Scott, she is mixed race. But her black family in Jamaica owned slaves. Ainsley Harriet's black family because freed black people also bought slaves as well. It becomes very, very confusing.
Yeah. Very confusing. Like, what happens if the reparations thing does happen? Like, what do you do with those things?
It won't happen, of course, because it's too difficult. I mean, I could understand. I could get behind more some kind of like not reparations to individuals or to governments, because they're quite often sadly corrupt. But I could get behind certain maybe civic projects or something like that.
Yeah.
Where you do literally, road building project or stuff to help out. Because I think regardless of slavery, the legacy of colonialism, it's probably some of the least things we could do is a little bit of things like that, I guess, to help to help people out. But I don't know. Where are we? Wouldn't have existed if that hadn't happened. Blew my mind at 10 years old. Oh, sorry. I apologize. I didn't see the first part. I had to do an interview of a grandparent when in primary school. It was strange to first learn that my grandmother was engaged to a Canadian pilot shot down over the channel. Realizing that I wouldn't have existed if that hadn't happened blew my mind at almost 10 years old. Well, that's it, isn't it? That is the weird thing, especially when you have, multiple marriages due to people dying. You think, my God, if that person didn't die, I wouldn't be here, you know?
Well, it's like my grandfather came across with his brother and three sisters and mother from Liverpool to Quebec City in 1916. So there was, there'd be a chance because that same ship took troops when it went back. It took troops back to England, and there's the potential that they could have been sunk. And I
Well, I
wouldn't be
mean,
here.
one of those things I believe, I don't know if it's true. I remember reading somewhere about Donald Trump. His mother's from some small island in Scotland. There was some boat accident, I think, when many of the young men who were returning there from the First World War, the boat sank, I think, or whatever, and they lost like 200 men, which was almost the entire population of eligible men for this Scottish island. And Mary Trump, obviously when she grew to adulthood, there weren't, the population had been decimated, so she had to go to, she moved abroad, she moved to America to find, I guess, for a new life and to find love or to find a partner. So that hadn't happened, who knows? So
Well, the other thing that's what I find interesting for myself is my great grandfather married my great grandmother in like
well, that's very unusual.
1901, had 5 children, and then in 1907 came, and basically came to the United States, probably to look for work, I think. But then, he traveled all over and then finally bought a farm, as far as I can tell, in Vermont, and then brought his family over in 1916. So,
Mhm.
9 years,
Yeah.
they were separated.
Mhm.
Um, and the thing is, it's been said, I could be living in New York City. I could be living, I could have been born in wherever, but because it was Vermont, it was easy because they had other family, I think, in Quebec. They just went to Quebec. And then
Mhm.
somehow my grandfather showed how he got to the Manitoulin Island. I have no
Mhm.
idea.
I've tried many times to trace my ancestry, but no luck. Despite putting in everything I know, nothing ever comes up for my dad's parents and their ancestors. Maybe you need to give tips and hints, Sean. Jason,
Yeah.
my family name in Irish is, I hope he's not going to make me say that, O'Harrigan, is it? Or O'Harry? It's probably nothing like I think it's going to be. Dates back approximately to the 6th century from the province of Munster, where I still live. So a bit of a homeboy. Yeah.
That'd be neat to be able to trace. I'd be cool to trace back that far.
Well, I mean, it's probably not that difficult once you get to a certain point. When you get to the
Yeah.
Standfasts who didn't go to Canada, the chances are they stayed local for many, many years, probably.
Yeah.
With reparations, there's the issue that you're demanding money from people who didn't enslave people to give it to the people who were never slaves. I completely agree, Aaron. I
Yeah.
completely agree.
Yeah.
I think make the people who benefited from it pay it. All of which is based on the assumption that slave owners would have been willing to apologize by giving the money, and the ex-slaves would have been willing to accept the money. Yeah, but then of course, the British government recently, I think, when was it, 2015 or something, or maybe more recently, only finished back paying out the loans for slavery compensation to slaveholders. I
Oh,
think
really?
the family should, at least return it to the government. Yeah.
Going back to the tip, was it Sarah that was saying she couldn't
Yeah.
find what you need to do is like get your parents' birth certificates wherever they are. Most of the time, it'll say who their parents were, and it'll give the maiden name of the mother as well. So then you could go that line, and then it'll give the name of the uh, of the father of your dad and mother, obviously, and then you get their birth certificate and do the same thing, and then because then you've got date of births, you've got the dates of birth. So even if there's 20 names of the same, like whatever John Smith, then if you got the date of birth and the location where they were born, you might be able to narrow it down to which one.
Especially if there's a middle name as well, that helps.
Yeah, that helps. Yeah. So, but then sometimes, as I say, when you're looking, you have to look at the documents themselves, because you'll see the pictures of the documents, and then you'll see the printed stuff, the information down below, and it doesn't. They've spelled stuff incorrectly. So there's stuff that's been transferred incorrectly. So you have to. That's where it's not that easy to do this stuff. It's like people sort of think it is, but they're relying on information that other people did. So
yeah.
I think there's a lot. From what I glimpsed, it's a huge mess. It just with information that's incorrect on there.
Well, I had a relative who had the name, which you think would make it very easy to trace him, because there can't be too many people called Barzilai, right? And yet the census takers throughout the 19th century, I don't think any one of them spelt it right. It was never spelt the same on every census. It was like Barzilai, Barzili, Barzlili, Barzilla, which was my personal favorite because it kind of sounded like Godzilla. And I was thinking, yeah, Jesus, Anyway, I am going to have to go, I'm afraid. We've hit the hour mark, and I do have to head off. But I don't know, Sean, are you going to continue on as a... You've still got 12 people here. You're going to continue on solo, or...
I don't know what to talk about, really. I've mostly talked about which I wasn't even planning on talking about.
Well, you were going to mention the book that you had, weren't you? So
no, if anybody who's interested, I got this little chat book today that Scott Danielson got for me, and it's a nice reprint of Clifford Simak's 1935 published novella or whatever. So it limited to 500 copies. So that's kind of nice. And I did a video of it. You can go look at my video if you're interested.
Yeah, you can look at mine too. I put up today's Shorty September one already, so All right. Well, I do have to go. Apologies, everyone.
Yeah, if people want me to stay, I don't know if there's a cry out to say stay.
Maybe someone will jump on with you. You never know. Maybe Jason will finally make another appearance on YouTube.
Yeah, Jason, if you're still here, if you want to jump on, it'd be nice to catch up.
To be sure.
Wow.
All right. Well, I'm gonna head off. I'll check in later if you're still around. Yeah. All right. Bye.
Yeah, I'll wait to see what he says. Yeah, Jason, if you want to, I can email you. Sarah, yeah, give that a try and see. So hopefully that might actually work. So I'll stay for a little while longer and see. Unless there's anything else that people wanted to talk about or hear. Well, it's gone from 12 or 13 down to 9, so I'm assuming people are leaving. So, but I'll wait a little bit because I know the comments take time to sometimes show up. But yeah, no, this was kind of fun to get. I've been looking for it for quite a while, and it's usually really expensive, and then one popped up at a good price, so I didn't want to miss it. And thankfully, thanks to Scott, I was able to do it. I've got the original as well that was published in 1935 in a magazine. I've had that for over 20 years, actually. Yeah, because I brought it with me to the UK. So that was kind of nice. I'd like to get there was a limited edition of 20. Well, they took 20 of these and hand bound them, and they're signed. So that'd be kind of cool to have. But yeah, no, I don't see. Yeah. So, oh, it just. Oh, okay. Okay, no worries, Jason. Have a good evening. And yeah, thanks everybody for stopping by. And I'll see you next time. And take a look at my video, just to give it extra views. Bye, everybody.